Tragedy in Plano after a plane crashed into a shopping center. We'll have all of the latest updates right off the top of the show.
And today marks 60 years since JFK's assassination in Dallas, and the JFK Library is honoring his life in a special way. Plus, we'll have all the key things to keep in mind for Thanksgiving.
Good afternoon, so glad you could join us. I'm Isabel Price.
And I'm Trang Quincy Vu. We start off this Wednesday noon edition of the NewsFeed with a developing story where a pilot of the small plane may have saved the lives of others before losing his own.
This happened last night in the parking lot of a shopping center at Park Midway in Plano. The FAA confirms only the pilot was on board and that nobody else was hurt. That site is less than half a mile away from the Airpark Dallas Airport. Plano police say that the aircraft did not hit any other vehicles or structures, but you can see on cell phone video an unoccupied vehicle did catch fire. We will continue to keep a close eye on this and bring you any updates next week.
Today marks the 60th anniversary of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy right here in Dallas. On November 22, 1963, President Kennedy was in a convertible limousine headed to a sold-out luncheon where shots were fired from a sixth-floor window. Kennedy was shot twice, and the FBI later found Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone in the shooting. In June of this year, the National Archives concluded its review of the classified documents related to the assassination of President Kennedy, and the records are now available to the public. And a number of events will take place around this country to mark the anniversary, including in New England, where the JFK Presidential Library will showcase some items rarely put on display. Gabrielle Caracciolo spoke with the library's director about the exhibit.
We've never done an exhibit quite like this.
The JFK Presidential Library in Boston is commemorating 60 years since the death of President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas.
It just in a very small capsule conveys the importance of that occasion. Some things that you ordinarily would never see.
Director Alan Price says the library typically focuses more on Kennedy's life and legacy and doesn't dwell on the assassination. But this week only, special items on display range from condolence mail to a shell casing from the last round fired during the military salute at his burial and the saber held by the riderless horse in his funeral procession.
It's a special commemoration, a somber occasion, of course.
Tomorrow, 60 years to the day since the assassination, admission to the library will be free, and the flag that draped over President Kennedy's coffin during his funeral will make a rare public appearance.
We don't want to expose it to light any more than necessary. To see that flag will be powerful.
They're expecting crowds for the commemoration and hoping visitors will leave not only with a better understanding of Kennedy's life and legacy, but
I hope they'll take away a sense that they can make a difference, that they have a voice, that they have a civic responsibility, and perhaps they will do something in terms of public service coming out of this exhibit.
A recent article published in the On EdTech newsletter refers to Tarrant County College as a, quote, big player in the two-year online learning program. The article synthesizes data from multiple sources and explores the challenges online education presents for community colleges across the nation, given their focus on vocational programs. TCC has been identified as one of the 6 community colleges in the United States in the top 25 institutions serving fully online students.
And whether it's online or in person, TCC is one of the largest institutions of higher education in the country and a centerpiece for the sustained progress and prosperity of the county. Like Texas as a whole, Tarrant County is harnessing the energy of growth and an increasingly diverse economy and population. For example, TCC's portfolio of economic impact highlights $2.1 billion in annual added income to the county economy, a value approximately equal to 1.4% of the county's GRP.
Moving over to the political feed, Governor Abbott joined former President Trump Sunday, serving meals to Texas National Guard soldiers who will be stationed over at the border over Thanksgiving to stem the flood of illegal immigration, deadly drugs like fentanyl, and dangerous weapons pouring into Texas from Mexico. But this wasn't the only thing on Governor Abbott's mind. Lily Celeste has more.
Governor Abbott will back former President Donald Trump as he runs again for president in 2024. The announcement made right here in the Valley.
I'm here today to officially proclaim my endorsement for Donald J. Trump to be president.
The endorsement comes with a promise from Abbott.
We need a president who's going to restore law and order in the United States of America.
The two came to South Texas International Airport in Edinburgh to thank DPS troopers and National Guard members deployed to the border, all of them here as part of Operation Lone Star. The 240 members of law enforcement were given Thanksgiving meals ahead of the holiday.
They should not be here at this time. They should be at home.
After the luncheon, the governor and former president held a press conference, both politicians focusing on border security.
But we're going to make the governor's job very easy, okay? We're going to take over that border.
Both Abbott and Trump blaming the current White House for the record numbers of migrant crossings at the border.
We have a president of the United States of America who is not securing our border.
The endorsement from Abbott comes after Trump has promised to enact several hardline immigration policies, including re-implementing Title 42, a COVID health policy ended by the CDC, and building more border wall. In the Valley ahead of Thanksgiving, two Republican leaders coming together to show their support for one another and the men and women carrying out their border security mission.
I want to also thank the men and women of the National Guard and Texas DPS for everything they do to protect our state.
For the first time ever, a Texas campus will host a presidential debate. Texas State University in San Marcos was chosen as the site of the first of 4 scheduled general election debates next September. Texas has hosted primary debates before, but never one featuring nominees from both parties. The other 3 debates will take place in Virginia State University, the University of Utah, and Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania.
3 Texas judges are asking President Biden to stop a controversial border bill in their state. SB 4 was passed last week by the Texas legislature, making the illegal entry into Texas a state crime and gives judges the power to remove violators to Mexico. The bill gives local police officers the power to arrest violators, which Democratic lawmakers have warned could lead to the racial profiling of Latinos. In a letter to Biden posted to social media, the county executives from Harris, El Paso, and Travis counties cite concerns the measure is unconstitutional and could make communities less safe, adding they believe Governor Greg Abbott is violating the U.S. Constitution.
Airline officials in Dallas are looking to follow in the footsteps of recent strikers. We'll have more on whether this will affect your Thanksgiving travel plans next.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Yesterday, the city of Everman took a new step to make sure this little boy is not forgotten. They opened this all-inclusive park and named it after Noel Rodriguez Alvarez. He is a 6-year-old who hasn't been seen now in more than a year. His family fled the country without him shortly after an Amber Alert was issued, and police have since turned the search into a death investigation. Noel's foster mother, who took care of him for a little more than a year, said she could already see the joy that this playground is now bringing to other kids, just like Noel once did.
Flight attendants at American Airlines are asking the feds for the right to strike. Union leaders say they are frustrated their workers haven't seen pay raises since 2019. So if that strike request is approved, the union is 30 days to either change course or agree on a deal before they're allowed to strike. A Fort Worth-based American, though, says there is no possibility of a walkout over the holidays. Meanwhile, pilots at Dallas-based Southwest Airlines just opened a strike center. Officials with their pilots association say they too will ask for the right to strike if they don't have a contract with the airline in the next few days. Experts say Southwest pilots could get a similar deal to what American pilots just locked in, which includes raises for more than 40% over the next 4 years.
People are flocking to airports and taking to the freeways in a race to get to their Thanksgiving destinations. Travelers are sure to see long lines and delays on roadways and in airports. Today is one of the busiest travel days of the entire year, with the FAA expecting nearly 50,000 flights to take off. CNN's Pete Muntean has more.
A crammed Thanksgiving for travel is on. From Chicago,
I'm feeling really positive,
to Dallas,
Check the gates. They've already changed hours 3 times in the last 4 hours.
to LA, where gas is averaging above $5 a gallon.
I had to pay for it no matter what.
AAA says 49 million people will take road trips over the next 5 days as air travel is rebounding from cold rain and wind that swept through East Coast airports. When Wednesday is finished, airlines are expected to have operated 49,000 flights. 2.7 million people are projected to pass through TSA checkpoints nationwide.
Think through the process steps you're going to go through screening, because you don't want to be that passenger that holds everybody else up.
At United Airlines' Washington Dulles hub, workers are rushing to get 200 daily flights parked, boarded, and pushed back in 4 major shifts starting early in the morning.
United Airlines says its planes will be full, not only on the busy travel days, but also on days that haven't been busy before. The rush is getting longer, it says, thanks to remote work and hybrid schedules.
People are able to leave earlier and stay longer. Sunday after Thanksgiving is still going to be the busiest day of the year for us.
One challenge, a shortage of air traffic controllers. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg stresses weather is the top cause of cancellations.
Mother Nature, of course, is the X factor in all of this.
Peak road travel is yet to come, with AAA anticipating traffic will hit its high on Wednesday. On the 5 in Los Angeles, traffic is expected to spike, taking a full 3 hours to get to Bakersfield. At rush hour on Friday, the trip from Birmingham to Atlanta will nearly double along Interstate 20. And on Sunday, add an hour between Houston and San Antonio when traffic climbs 40% on Interstate 10.
Many people, they don't have a choice but to leave on Wednesday afternoon, which we say is the worst time to be on the roads ahead of Thanksgiving.
If you're flying for Thanksgiving, the TSA wants you to know that you can bring most holiday foods on board, but there are certain foods that need to be checked. As a general rule, solid foods can fly with you. Anything that can be poured, spread, sprayed, or pumped should be checked. So make sure your special gravy, cranberry sauce, and wine go under the plane. The agency even has a special list on the My TSA app that will tell you how to travel with most foods. And if you do bring it on board, make sure to keep it easily accessible. Food items frequently require additional screening at checkpoints.
Still to come over the weekend, a SpaceX rocket exploded during a test launch. But out of the break, I will have your Thanksgiving Day forecast. Keep it here. We'll be right back.
I am so glad you ladies are here. You each have your own rooms.
Thank you.
Good.
Is it okay to call you Mom?
Of course you can.
Need a ride? Yeah! Driving with kids is a big responsibility.
Hop in and buckle up!
So don't sweat the small stuff.
You got paint all over our paper!
Get the big stuff right instead.
What does that mean?
Like making sure your kids are in the correct car seat and buckled up for safer travel.
That deserves a wiggly wiggly wig.
To make sure your child is in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Beep, beep. Yeah!
Welcome back to the news feed. It is a beautiful Wednesday afternoon at 52 degrees. Currently clear skies, going up to 58 later this afternoon. In North Texas, we're seeing an average of 50 degrees all throughout, 57 in Abilene, 50 in McKinney. This evening, temperatures do drop down to 41 degrees later, so it is going to get much cooler. And that leads us into Thanksgiving Day, 39 degrees at 7 a.m. But don't worry, it's actually going to get much warmer at 3 p.m., 61 degrees, so you'll enjoy your nice Thanksgiving feast. And this weekend, we're seeing temperatures starting off at 61 on Friday, going down to 50 degrees. For our work week next week, we're looking at an average of 50s all throughout, cloudy days, and you'll notice on Saturday and Sunday, you're seeing 50 and 60% chance of rain. So if you go out next weekend, make sure to pack an umbrella.
Thanks, Trang. Alaska's governor issued a disaster declaration following a large landslide in Rangwell. 3 people died, 2 are missing, and 1 woman was rescued. The landslide was reported Monday evening and is estimated to be 450 meters wide. According to the Alaska Department of Transportation, 3 homes were in the path of the landslide. Officials also said about 20 to 30 people were displaced. Wrangell is located roughly 200 miles southeast of Juneau. SpaceX's Starship rocket exploded during its second test flight Saturday morning. All eyes were on the mega rocket when it lifted off from its launch pad in Boca Chica, Texas. About 2 minutes into the flight, all of Starship's 33 engines ignited and worked successfully. However, the booster exploded following the separation. The rocket did successfully carry on the mission, but Mission Control lost contact with it minutes later. If the mission had gone as intended, Starship would have made a nearly full lap of the planet before aiming to splash down near Hawaii. NASA is hoping to use the Starship capsule to return astronauts to the surface of the moon as a part of its Artemis program, which could happen as soon as 2025.
Moving on to the crisis in the Middle East, this could be an extra special Thanksgiving for some families. A breakthrough deal between Israel and Hamas has been reached, which will result in the release of some hostages being held by the militant group. John Lawrence reports.
A major milestone in the Mideast.
I just can't wait to see the picture of the children, of the innocent people going out from there after so many days.
At least 50 of the 239 hostages held captive by Hamas in Gaza will soon be set free, possibly as soon as Thanksgiving, according to separate statements from Israel and Hamas.
Every hostage that release is a really good news for the family, and in particular the children.
After a 6-hour-long meeting Tuesday, the Israeli cabinet overwhelmingly approved the agreement with Hamas, which calls for a 4-day pause in Israel's air and ground campaign. Israeli officials say the ceasefire could potentially be extended for the release of additional hostages.
I can assure you that we will be respectful of any agreement and we will honor the commitments made by the Israeli government. I can only hope that our enemies will do the same.
President Joe Biden issued a statement saying that, quote, "Today's deal should bring home additional American hostages, and I will not stop until they are all released." As for what lies ahead, Israel appears to be taking a trust but verify stance.
We will be very vigilant on the ground because we have bad experiences with Hamas from 2014 when they violated an internationally brokered ceasefire.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The nation is mourning the loss of beloved First Lady and expects USPS shipping prices to begin to climb. That and more next.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane! Woo!
You got this!
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training on a Friday afternoon, and the very next day he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. You don't know how much somebody can hide what's going on inside their head. Store your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September. I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
After the holiday rush, it'll soon cost more to send a package via the U.S. Postal Service. The USPS says the changes include Ground Advantage, Priority Mail, and Priority Mail Express. Their prices are going up just over 5% starting January 21st. The service also wants to increase the cost of forever stamps from 66 to 68 cents. And it wants to adjust prices for post office box rentals, international mail, and special services. The Rosalind Carter mental health activist, humanitarian, and former First Lady passed away Sunday at the age of 96. Ivan Rodriguez is at the Carter Center in Atlanta with a look at her life and legacy.
Tributes continue pouring in for the late Rosalind Carter.
You know, they're really an incredible family because they brought so much grace to the office.
The former First Lady died Sunday after entering hospice care on Friday.
She was well known for her efforts on mental health and caregiving and women's rights. So I hope that during the holidays you'll consider saying include the Carter family in your prayers.
Mrs. Carter was actively involved in her husband's presidency and a strong advocate for equal treatment of the mentally ill.
Nobody talked to each other about their own mental illness at all, and now to see that that actually people can recover is the greatest thing.
But it was the couple's work after leaving the White House that would leave the longest legacy, redefining and revolutionizing the post-presidency. In 1981, they spearheaded a new challenge, joining with Habitat for Humanity, building houses for the poor. A year later, they established the Carter Center, a foundation devoted to promoting human rights, resolving conflicts, and eradicating diseases.
I'm proud of the work of the Carter Center, which has developed to become one of the most admired and respected institutions, not only nationally but internationally.
The #1 jersey worn by San Antonio Spurs rookie Victor Wembanyama during his first NBA game was sold at an auction for a record-breaking $762,000. According to Sotheby's at Auction House, the jersey was expected to sell for between $80,000 and $120,000. This is reportedly the most money paid for an NBA rookie debut jersey and one of the highest amounts paid for a jersey in recent times. The billionaire founder of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange and his company pleaded guilty to federal money laundering violations on Tuesday. The settlement calls for Binance to pay more than $4 billion in fines and penalties, leading Changpeng Zhao, the company's CEO, to step down from the post of the exchange he founded. Federal prosecutors accuse Binance of a, quote, calculated effort to profit from the U.S. market and, quote, steering clear of U.S. laws. In the settlement, Binance admits to anti-money laundering, unlicensed money transmitting, and sanctions violations. Out of the break, the Rolling Stones are still alive, and they're stopping in Texas. Plus, what is the best way to serve Thanksgiving dinner to picky eaters? Find out next.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/therightseat.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
The Rolling Stones are hitting the road with a 16-stop stadium tour in the new year. Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Ronnie Wood are kicking off their concert series on April 28th in Houston. Tickets go on sale December 1st. The tour supports Hackney Diamonds, the legendary rocker's first new album since 2005. It debuted at #1 in the UK and #3 on the Billboard 200 album chart. The single Angry has been nominated for a Grammy in the Best Rock Song category.
Black Friday has lost some of its luster. Retailers say the rush to bust down doors for big sales may be a thing of the past. That's because many stores have held sales for weeks now leading up to Black Friday, trying to lure shoppers in. Online shopping also is taking away some customers looking for those coveted deals. The National Retail Federation predicts when all is said and done, holiday sales will jump 4% this year. And if you are heading out on Friday, expect to see more modest sales of 25 to 30% off. Although bargain hunters may find items like clothes and shoes discounted up to 70%.
Getting your children to eat healthy can be a chore, but throw in Thanksgiving with new foods and distractions at the table, and you may be in for a real challenge.
In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has tips to surviving the holidays with picky eaters.
It's that time of year again, and the Thanksgiving meal that's yummy to you may mean new, different-looking foods on your picky eater's plate.
It is a new routine, there's new people, there's new environments, so what we expect on a normal day and normal eating is typically not going to happen.
Licensed dietitian Catherine Sherry with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Strong for Life says the first tip to surviving the holidays is by being okay with things being different. Next, have some familiar food. If you're not hosting, bring it with you.
It's always going to help if your child has some sort of normalcy happening during a hectic day.
If you're heading to another home for Thanksgiving, Sherry recommends letting your child eat beforehand.
Let them eat in their own comfortable spot, and then when you go somewhere, it's okay if they don't eat.
Finally, Sherry says there's a time and place to introduce new foods, but Thanksgiving may not be it. She says holidays can be overstimulating for children, so don't force them to eat something new.
It is always up to your child, whether it's a holiday or not, for them to decide if they're going to eat, what they're going to eat, and how much they're going to eat.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Thank you so much for joining us on the NewsFeed. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Enjoy the rest of your break, and we'll see you next week at our regular time, Thursday at 4 p.m.
Have a great week and great news, everybody.
Bye, y'all.